Greg Undo with Steinberg, and we're here at the Winter NAMM 2017 show. We're going to take a quick look at what's new in Cubase Pro 9. So Cubase Pro 9, one of the things that we wanted to do is make sure that our screen was more optimized for single window display. So if I hit my tab key, we can now have different zones. So I could have zones directly in the left-hand side for my inspector. I can have an edit zone where I can now have not only my different mix console, but I could have different editors selected as well, and we could just simply toggle back and forth between these different zones. So I want to see my chord pads, my editor for audio or MIDI information, or my mix console here. Now what's great about this also is when we start dealing with MIDI tracks, I could just take a look at a particular MIDI event here, go to the editor, and I have my choice of different views where I can see a piano key roll editor, a drum editor, or even my notation view directly here within the lower zone. Now, even though these are working in lower zones, I could still have these work in a full screen independent window by clicking on the upper right hand arrow, and then I could just simply tuck it back directly into my zone by clicking the upper arrow here that points down, and now we could just whatever we select here. So as we play, what's really interesting is the ability to have independent scrolling for these. So I could have a stationary cursor in this view, but as I play, I can see my other tracks just simply kind of play in time here, and then this track will just simply update over and over again. So if we want to just unsolo that, I can just come here and choose, let's make it a stationary cursor. We can see that automatically just kind of changing to match. Now, one of the things that people wanted for a long time was the ability to have a sampler. So we thought it'd be cool if we could just come into any part here from my media bay, and I could take any audio file, just right click, and we have what we call sampler tracks. And as I do this, I can now just right click, and now it's just automatically taking that audio file. So instead of treating audio just as either playing back like music in a multi-track project or samples, I could just take any project or any audio file from my project window here, drag and drop it into the sampler track. And as I do that, at this point we could just drag and drop, and then we could have and play back different sound files as a sampler. And I have full control over my envelopes for my filters, my panning, all that great stuff. So instead of, again, treating my audio separately, I could now just take any of my audio files, drag and drop into a sampler track, and be able to work with it. Now, one of our biggest feature requests was for, in the mix console, to be able, when I'm working here, and if I accidentally moved a fader or a pan pot, is to have mixer undo. So if I wanted to look at that in a full mixer view, and I could now just come here, and if I adjust any of my parameters, you notice that I see my edit history for my mix console right here. So now if I adjust a send, adjust a parameter, I can now just simply scroll back through time and have unlimited levels of undo with my mix. And one of the last things we'll take a quick look at is the frequency EQ plugin. And this allows you to have an 8-band EQ that's linear phase on each band. The outer bands can have up to 96 dB of gain or cut. And what you see is the actual piano keyboard here. So if I know that my song is in the key of G, I could actually change the frequency and see what pitch on the piano keyboard is directly underneath. I could actually type the pitch in. So let's say I want this to be the frequency of D2. I could just type in D2 or D3, hit enter, and that frequency can automatically change based on that. Now, each of the bands could also work where I could independently pan my left and right channels. I could treat it as a stereo EQ, or I could do mid-side, where I could take my middle part of my panning spectrum and EQ that differently than the sides if I wanted to. So an incredibly flexible EQ with all of my metering for frequency response. So as you can see, the new features in Cubase Pro 9 with enhanced window interface, sampler tracks, mixer undo, make for a great new addition for your DAW workflow.